What if the world we are living in right now was described thousands of years ago? Not in modern news reports, not in political analysis, but in ancient scripture. For centuries, people have looked at the world around them and wondered if history might be moving towards something bigger, something the Bible has been quietly describing for thousands of years. Wars increasing, nations rising against each other, faith fading in places where it once seemed unshakable. Some believe these are simply cycles of history, but others see something different. Because long before the modern world existed, the Bible described a period when events would begin to accelerate, when changes would happen faster and faster, like birth pains before the arrival of something new. And according to the Bible, several signs would appear before the return of Jesus Christ. Some of those signs are dramatic, others are quiet, almost easy to miss. But when you place them side by side, they form a pattern that has fascinated believers for generations. One of the first signs begins with a nation that vanished from history. Nearly 2,000 years ago, the Jewish people were scattered across the world. Their homeland was gone, their nation no longer existed. For centuries, many believed it would never return. Yet in the prophecy recorded in the Book of Ezekiel, the prophet described a strange and powerful vision. He saw a valley filled with dry bones, bones scattered everywhere, lifeless, forgotten, silent. Then suddenly something began to happen. The bones started coming together. They formed skeletons, then flesh, then breath entered them, and they stood up alive. Many readers of Scripture believe this vision symbolized the restoration of Israel as a nation after centuries of exile. In 1948, the modern state of Israel was established, something many thought would never happen again in history. For students of biblical prophecy, that moment was more than just political history. It felt like a clock had started ticking again. But Scripture never suggested this would be the only sign. Another sign was described directly by Jesus. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 24, Jesus spoke about the future and warned that the world would experience growing tension between nations. He spoke of wars and rumors of wars, but he also gave an important detail. He said these events would be like birth pains. Birth pains do not begin suddenly with full intensity. They start slowly, then they become stronger, closer together, more difficult to ignore. Many believers see this pattern in the conflicts that appear across the world today. Yet Jesus also made something very clear. These events alone do not mean the end has arrived. They are only the beginning of a much larger story. Another sign described in the Bible focuses not on nations, but on faith itself. In the second epistle to the Thessalonians, the Apostle Paul warned about a period known as the falling away, a time when many people who once believed would slowly abandon their faith. Truth would become less important than personal preference, conviction would weaken, belief would fade into the background of everyday life. For many observers today, this description feels strangely familiar. In many parts of the world, religious belief is declining. Ideas that once seemed foundational are now questioned or dismissed. Faith, for many people, has become something optional rather than central. According to Scripture, this shift was expected long before modern culture appeared. But the Bible also warned about something else that would grow during this period: deception. In his teachings, Jesus warned that many false teachers would appear. Some would sound convincing, some would appear wise, others would attract large followings, but their teachings would slowly move people away from truth rather than toward it. Throughout history, there have always been voices competing for attention. Yet the Bible suggests that in the final period of history, the number of misleading voices would increase dramatically, which makes discernment more important than ever. Another fascinating prophecy speaks about signs in the heavens. In the book of Joel, there is a mysterious line that has captured the imagination of readers for centuries. It says, "The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord." Some interpret these words symbolically. Others believe they may refer to extraordinary celestial events. Whatever the interpretation, the message is clear. The heavens themselves are part of the story of history. The sky above us is not simply empty space. It is a reminder that the universe is far larger and more mysterious than we often realize. Yet not every prophetic sign is a warning. Some are surprisingly hopeful. Jesus spoke about a message that would eventually spread across the entire world. He said the gospel would be preached to all nations. For most of human history, this idea seemed impossible. Travel was slow, communication was limited. Entire regions of the world remained isolated. But today, the situation looks very different. Scripture is translated into thousands of languages. Missionaries travel to places that once seemed unreachable. Digital technology allows messages to cross the planet in seconds. For the first time in history, it is possible for the message of the Bible to reach every nation on earth. For many believers, this is one of the most remarkable developments of our time. But the final stage described in prophecy is also the most intense. In the Book of Revelation, the Apostle John describes a period when the world faces extraordinary pressure. Conflict increases, decisions become more difficult. Humanity is forced to confront questions about truth, loyalty, and faith. Yet the purpose of this time is not simply chaos, it is refinement, a moment when people are forced to decide what they truly believe. Throughout history, every generation has wondered whether it might be living close to these events. And the truth is that no one knows the exact timeline. But the message of biblical prophecy was never meant to create fear. Instead, it was meant to awaken awareness, to remind people that history is moving somewhere, that the story of humanity is not random or meaningless. According to the Bible, it is moving toward a moment of restoration, a moment when justice and peace are finally established. And at the center of that promise stands the figure Christians believe one day will return to complete the story. That figure is Jesus Christ. Whether someone sees these prophecies symbolic, historical, or literal, they raise a question that every generation eventually faces. If the story of the world really is moving towards something greater, then the most important question is not only when it will happen. The deeper question is how we choose to live while the story is still unfolding.